Hi everybody, my name is Ann. Welcome to Art on the Creek. Guess what today is? It's a snow day. Oh my gosh, we got so much snow and it's gonna be snowing all day long. So I think it's a good day to paint. Are you ready? Here we go. So this is really the first real snow we've had of the season this year. We usually get it right around Halloween, my birthday. Those are just a week apart, so yay. This is my birthday week. Thank you for tuning in, and I'm really excited that it snowed. We have been, as channel members, working on our nature journals, and this little journal is so fun. It's a Canson Graduate Mixed Media Journal, and it has a little pocket in the back. A nice one actually, so that you can put a lot of your findings or tickets or souvenirs, whatever, what have you, in there. And this particular one is an ivory colored paper, so you can see what it looks like next to white. I believe this comes in white, ivory, like I have, and I don't know if that's what they call it. They might call it ecru or whatever. But anyway, this off-white and a gray color. I really like these because they can really take whatever you throw at them. And for this particular journal, what we're doing is something kind of fun. We are doing specimen collecting, mounting that in there with some packing tape, and then decorating the page with washi tape, writing a little bit about it, whatever we want to do to fill our journal pages. So as channel members, this is what we've been doing. Here's one that I burned the opening for the aspen leaves. And a little bit of writing about what we do in the fall in Colorado. We've got the autumn blaze here, which I have not painted these yet. I've just written about them. The acorn, the oak, and sunflowers. And then this is the most recent one we did, the hawthorns. And I decorated this one with some rabbit washi stickers that I had. And I thought, you know, I'm going to turn this into a little story about what the forest animals are doing to prepare for the change of season. So we've got a little bit more on the hawthorn over here. Here's the crabapple. This one was very bright gold. This is actually, it is dyed magnificently in my tape enclosure here, which, you know, it's expected. But this is the milkweed, and I haven't done that one yet. This is where the monarch butterflies create their cocoon, so that's kind of cool. And then I found some Christmas washi tapes, which I thought were so cute. And I'm starting the transition from fall into wintry weather here. Even though we're still very much headlong into fall, I wanted to kind of introduce the idea of snow. And I just put these washi tapes down. They come in a roll like this. This is just the cutest little thing. Let me see if I can get it over. Now these are not pre-cut. You do have to cut them. But aren't these cute? So I got these, and I will link to where I got everything. These are things I paid with my own money. I don't have a sponsor at all for this particular video, with the exception of the paints that we're using. So just in case you're wondering about that for some of your holiday shopping, anything that you click on below will certainly help the channel, and some of it might give me a little bit of an extra benefit. So thank you in advance for that. At any rate, we've got the washi tapes here, and I chose the ones with the snowman looking at a present. This says Santa Claus, a little town covered in snow, and the hedgehog decorating his tree. This is kind of the direction I want to take the journal in, is what these little animals would be doing in the forest. With the first snow in late October, early November, the world falls silent under the hush. The magic of the forest comes alive, and all of the merry forest creatures delight in preparing for winter's chill. There is also a special visitor on the way, and of course that's going to be Santa Claus, but we're not there yet. We are still in November, and we need to welcome friends and family to our table. So that will come for Thanksgiving, but what I want to do today is to give our little animals some things to forage. Now, one of our channel members, Becky, thank you so much, Becky, has requested that she would like to learn to paint mushrooms. And then we can segue that into a story about the animals collecting mushrooms for their harvest. And bonus, I've got a recipe down below that I kind of made up, and it is so delicious. If you need a side dish for fall, for your Thanksgiving table or for any kind of table, this is a butternut squash that I prepared in the oven, just baked it up, and then we topped it with some mushrooms and onions and garlic that I had sauteed together, and oh my goodness, it was, excuse me, it was amazing. So that it really got us all warm and cozy last night when the snow started to fall. So lots of things going on today. I thought we could paint some mushrooms and butternut squash, and let's get to it. All right, so just a quick search on Unsplash will, I just entered the search term mushroom, and you will find many, many beautiful little mushrooms to paint. This one right here I thought looked particularly delightful. So let's choose this one first. There we go. And I will try and keep this in frame for you guys without a glare. Oh, hallelujah, it's gonna work today. Okay, we've got the paints that I'm going to use. I'm still using this set of Meeden hobby paints. It's a set of 48 paints. It's been so convenient and easy to use here with this journal. In fact, the other reason is it's the same size as the journal. So if I wanted to carry this with me, this would really be lovely to do. It's nice and sturdy. I like the plastic that's the palette is made of. We have some iridescent paints here. There's some neons, and there's a few pastel shades in here as well. It comes with an eraser and a sponge to clean your brush. It came with this nice little pencil and a pencil sharpener as well. And this brush, which I really like, except for today of all days, it's finally, the ferrule is kind of getting a little bit loose. So that's kind of a bummer because I really like this brush. This one has just such a nice, beautiful point to it, and it's just really been so fun to use. So I'm going to keep using it, and I didn't leave it in the water or anything. Maybe I can tighten that up a little bit, but I don't know if you can see. Let's see if I can. I don't know. There's some play in that. I don't know if that's showing up on camera or not. If you watch the end over here, maybe you can kind of see that wiggle. I don't know, it's kind of hard, but you can definitely feel it, and I don't know if you can see that right there. So at any rate, a loose ferrule is annoying, but maybe I can clamp it down a little bit more and tuck some glue under there. I don't know. This brush is worth saving. I love the way it feels, and I really love this point. So let's start by painting this little mushroom here. Now, what I like about this, hello, there we go. What I like about this mushroom is the tans that are in it. Now, if you have any kind of buff titanium, that is a great color to use for painting mushrooms. We are going to use raw sienna-like colors to kind of create this little background here. I'm going to replicate the whole thing over here on this side. So let's just skip the drawing for today. We're going to just branch out and be a little bit bold. And I'm going into this color here, which is, let me get my little cheat sheet on here. I think that is the one big drawback to a larger palette is I cannot remember what the colors are where they're named. This one is called Harvest Gold. And these don't have the names, for the most part. They're not named what one would think to name them, you know, if you were working with a traditional paint. So now what I'm doing is I'm just sketching here and here and coming, just kind of marking these lines very, very kind of gingerly, just really getting a little bit of a sketchy look in here. There we go. There, and now I'm going to come in with some water and just fill this area in. Now, this paper is going to give you a lot more hard lines simply because it's going to dry quicker than a cotton paper would. So keep that in mind if you are going to be using a paper like this. So what I want to tell you about when you're painting mushrooms is you want to be aware of where the dark areas are and where the light areas are. So now that I've got this all wet, I'm going to go in with a brown, and I'm just going to call this burnt umber. Yes, that's the color that they call it here. And let's add some of these darker areas where the mushroom is a little bit darker. So let's see, we need some here and here and a little bit in here. And I'm going to come back with that wet brush again and kind of blend this all together. I really like blending the pigments together on the paper. That's one of my favorite ways to paint. And this is a little bit spotty here, so we're going to kind of tap that around. And I just really like the way it looks. I like the texture that we can get. Now we're going to go into a burnt sienna, which is kind of a reddish brown. And in this case, it is called burnt sienna, although this one is a lot like quinacridone rust. And I'm just going to add some of that in here. You can really see how this is playing on the wet paper. And let me zoom in on it just a little bit. There we go. So that you guys can get kind of a nice view for how this is going. I want to take that yellow away, but I do want it to still show through. Now, there is an area right here on the mushroom where it is lighter. So just got my brush wet and I'm tapping it off, and I'm just going to lift that out. Like so. And then when that is dry, we can come back in there and get that painted up. All right, so now my brush is just wet. Let's see how much pigment I have on it, and can I just kind of create this? No, I'm going to need a little bit more pigment. Okay. We're going to do something different this time. I'm going to go into this metallic powder pink. Might seem counterintuitive, but I'm going to mix it. The metallics are always very, very dry. Let me just show you what I'm doing here. I'm just going to spray these with some water. Metallics always take a little bit of extra to re-wet. I'm going into the metallic pink, and I want to mix it with that burnt sienna that I've got going. Just want to give that a little bit of a sheen. Oh, that's nice. There we go. See how it turns it kind of milky? And now I'm going to drop in just a touch of the burnt umber into that. I'm looking for a very light, very milky brown, because I don't have, there we go, very light tan, because I don't have the buff titanium. And the sparkle, you know what, that's fine. That's kind of a nice touch. Let's go ahead and capitalize on that today, just for fun. So now on our mushroom here, let me zoom back out just a touch. We have a little bit more on this side than we do on this side. So let's try and remember that when we're drawing. Come down here, and you don't want this to be a super even line, which is great because I don't have a steady hand. And let's see, from here straight up, we've got this portion, and then the peak of the cap is kind of over here a little bit. Make that kind of a jagged line. I have no idea what kind of mushroom this is. If you know, let us know in the comments. Go ahead and make that just a touch darker. I'm just darkening up that metallic pink mix with the burnt umber. And we're just gonna bring that in a little here with some suggestions of texture on these guys. A little bit more darkness over here. And I'm going to, with the very tip of my brush, I'm going to just go under these little lighter lines with the burnt umber while it's still damp. I just want to create a little shadow under there. And along here. And now, this might seem kind of scary, but this is what we're going to do. I'm going to come in just with a wet brush, blot it off, and I'm just going to give this all a path to travel on. All inside the mushroom cap here. Scrubbing it a little to get it going. And that's going to give us just that hint of color that we really want. Now, when we're dealing with anything in 3 dimension, we need to add shadows like we did down here a little bit. This is lapis lazuli. And it's a very subtle blue. What I'm going to do with it, it's nicely granulating. Just add some of it along the bottom here so that it can mix. And in here, wherever we need a more pronounced shadow. This all might seem a little bit strange right now, but this is where you say, hold my hand, we're going to step off the edge together. I like lapis lazuli for this because it is so subtle. And a blue will mix with this brown to make a really nice looking kind of a gray tone. Once again, getting into the water and just softening this edge. A little bit of brown added to this. And I'm going to come in here with a little bit more blue on this side here, and back in with the water to soften those edges. You want to be careful not to put too much water down, because we don't want a cauliflower bloom right now, although that would be some kind of fun texture if you happen to get one. Don't sweat it if you do get them. I think the best thing to do with cauliflower blooms and backgrounds is to simply learn how to embrace them. And if you get them, try not to throw your art away. Just try and figure out how you can incorporate that into what you're doing. All right, get a little bit more of a shadow here. Okay, now for some ground activity. Textures. Let's put in some random ground here. We'll use some of the burnt umber, a little bit of burnt sienna, some of the lapis lazuli. And this is mixing into a very nice gray. Lapis lazuli is a very, very subtle blue. So this is going to create a very, very subtle shadow down here. So I'm dropping in more of the burnt umber to kind of add some more texture. Maybe some twigs are in here. What do we have? Some pine needles, little things. I'm liking putting detail in certain parts, not in all of it, but in certain parts. Let's see what this does, if I'm going to make a mistake here or like what I've got going. I'm willing to experiment. This is a fun journal to play with. And I really like how this paint, when it's dropped into the wet, really creates that starburst effect. I really like that. All right, and then we've got some more blue in the horizon back here. We'll put a little hill. And just liking going in with these colors and really just kind of creating this mix. I think I'll leave some space for some more blue to go in. Make these a little bit of wispies coming out of here to look a little bit like some forest growth of some kind. Let's go ahead and get it dry. All right, so now with our watercolor pencil, what we can do is add a little more gold over here to this side. And you can use these just like a colored pencil. Bringing some light in here. And then we can come back in with a wet brush and just blend that out a little. And that's a very nice touch. And you can certainly come in with these watercolor pencils and you don't have to blend. You could leave it just like it is. But this right here with this Prussian blue is really doing exactly what I wanted with this little scale that attaches to the mushroom here. There, and that helped us direct the light a little bit. I really like using watercolor pencils. It's very, very forgiving, and really makes for a fun way to add some color. You can also do it by grabbing the pigment directly off of the pencil, and you can even do it with splattering here. I'll show you over here just a little bit what it looks like when you splatter from a pencil. See that? You get some nice little bits of texture there. In a lot of ways, I think this is a much easier way to splatter than it is if you're trying to do it from a paintbrush. Let's see. Some of this olive green up here. Just really going in and very roughly suggesting what's kind of in the background here. Just getting this area wet. Burnt sienna. So you can play with the background however you want. But for now, what do I think this needs? I think it needs some ink pen, honestly. And let's get out our trusty pen. And this time I am using a black ink. We're just going to go around this very roughly. Not worried about actually getting on the lines. Just really want to make this shaky. And there we go. Really quick, let's see if we can just get this sketched out. And I am going to use an orange watercolor pencil for this. So let's see, I'm going to look at this particular squash right here, and I will put a link to all of these in the description, these photos that I'm using. So far all I've used is that orange Derwent color watercolor pencil, and now I'm using the lapis lazuli to add some shadows in before I go in with more layers. The thing I really like about watercolor pencils for something like a squash is because you really have some fun, good textures that can come out of it. So let's keep changing the pencils around and let's see what we can come up with. Here I've dipped the pencil directly in the water to really get that bold, vibrant color laid down. This is almost the perfect color for the inside of the butternut squash. But we'll go ahead and add some nice bold striations here on the outer skin, and we'll come in with a couple more colors and really give it some good variance. This first color that I'm adding in is called golden brown, and this will help to give it a nice warm glow. And as luck would have it, we can repeat that same golden brown up here in the stem. It's got a nice ruddy tone to it too, especially with the texture that these pencils impart on this Canson graduate media paper, the mixed media paper. It really is a lot of fun to add all kinds of texture and different color nuances. I will just blend that in with some water and add a little bit again of our lapis lazuli just to get those subtle shadows going. Now I'm going to jump back over to the pan watercolors and just add some of those very similar hues just so that we can intensify that color lay down a little bit and really let the lines of those pencils, that texture effect, really show through the translucency of the watercolor. I just love these two together, and again on this paper it really is just a dream to work with. Now that the squash itself is looking pretty much the way I want it, I'm going to add a shadow, and that will help establish that light source bouncing off toward that right hand and top side of the squash, and really just kind of tuck this edge in nicely over here. So let's get some water down to help soften that edge, and we'll continue to deposit just a little bit more lapis lazuli because again, this is a very subtle color. If you don't have lapis lazuli, you could use certainly cobalt blue or ultramarine blue. All right, so here is little Henrietta Hedgehog making her snowman, so we'll get that on there. You know, you guys, this is just all stress-free fun. Put that right down here. And then I'm going to go back into my lapis lazuli. And continue this blue around here, like so. And oh, I got my ink, I didn't dry it before I closed my book. See, that's the beauty of a journal. You playing in it and nothing is too precious, and that makes it a lot of fun. The butternut squash, I used a lot of the pencils on, and I was really thrilled to be able to get this much texture out of it. So I really like that. And then I added a little bit of story here to our little production. The harvest is plenty, and the animals excitedly prepare an autumn feast. They have an abundance of butternut squash and mushrooms, so after Henrietta Hedgehog finishes her snowman, she prepares her favorite squash and mushroom dish for all to share. And then I've got the recipe written down over here. I just kind of made it up last night, and it was delicious. So I will put this recipe in writing that you can read, it printed below in the description, and we will continue the animals' adventure through this book on through late fall and winter. And I hope everyone is having a really warm and cozy day and just enjoying everything that you have planned for the season. All right, guys. Thanks. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.